And we welcome you into the second episode of the Maryland Lacrosse Show presented by the Green Turtle. I'm Brendan Hartlove, delighted to be back after a very exciting week of Maryland lacrosse action, both on the men's side and the women's side. And as we did last week, we're going to jump back in, starting with the men's team, followed by the women's team. But first, Green Turtle, introducing the Turtle Triple Play at the Green Turtle, an extraordinary and unbeatable offer that's guaranteed to make your taste buds cheer with unparalleled excitement. For just $25, indulge in an appetizer and two delectable entrees that will tantalize your senses with every delicious bite, all while enjoying the exhilarating atmosphere of a sports fan's paradise. And here's the grand slam. For a mere additional $5, you can elevate your experience to legendary status by adding your choice dessert or two refreshing alcoholic beverages, making this offer an absolute steal for anybody. You don't want to miss out on the Turtle Triple Play at Green Turtle today. Check your local Turtle for details. And we are going to kick things off with the Maryland men's lacrosse team. And joining us today is head coach John Tillman and assistant coach and offensive coordinator Michael Phipps. Guys, thanks for joining us. Excited to have you back.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you.
So we have a lot to dive into, obviously, over the weekend and what is to come as well. But just this past weekend, you guys got a really big victory. You're third in overtime over Brown. And when we kind of look back at that one, Coach, I want to start with you. What were your overall takeaways from that one? Because another overtime game, another tough opposition, took you a little time to get into the game, but eventually came out with the win.
Yeah, we always joke with the guys, there are no easy games anymore in college lacrosse. And, Brown obviously is a program that has a great tradition and great history. And certainly their record doesn't indicate how good that team is. I think having watched them from the first game until even last week, they've gotten better and better. And I think their last two games were against Georgetown and Maryland, and I think they played their best game. So I think they're moving in the right direction, getting into Ivy League play. We just kind of, after watching the film, knew that, it was going to be a tough game. And you kind of sometimes have to caution your guys, like, don't get caught up in the record. Sometimes it takes a while for teams to hit their stride, and they're certainly starting to do that. Proud of our guys. Certainly not the cleanest game that we played in any aspect, but a lot of resiliency, a lot of grit, guys just sticking together, and just kind of having the battle. And, certainly at any point, you could kind of take a step back, and the guys just didn't. A lot that we learned, a lot that we need to continue to improve upon, but certainly better to do that when you get a win, realizing that, we're going to take a big step up this week with our opponent.
And Coach, for you and from your position, what were your main takeaways from that game?
I think, Coach Tillman says all the time, like, in college lacrosse now, you're living in a one goal just world. And that's kind of how it's been. And you never know, but for me, the takeaways are just, can we just develop a little bit of consistency, just speaking offensively, whether it's from first, second, third, fourth quarter throughout the game. And that's an area that we tried to focus on when we do have the ball. And, I think we did take some strides in that area in the Brown game, and the consistency just throughout the game was a little bit better. But again, with that one goal world, a possession in the first quarter is just as important as the one in the fourth. And it proved to be true in a good game against Brown.
And Coach Tillman, you talked about some of those things that you learned a lot from that game. What are the conversations like with the guys, during the course of that action? Because it was a game that kind of had some ups and downs throughout it. When you're able to get the team together in a huddle or in a break, what are you guys talking about to kind of make those adjustments and incorporate those things that you're learning?
Yeah, Brown is a team that definitely, and I thought Michael did a great job of preparing our guys. They mixed in a lot more zone against Georgetown. So we spent a good amount of the week, going over zone and man. And Michael had the offensive guys on possessions during the week. If the ball went out of bounds, they'd shift into a zone. So they'd have to jump in quickly and start executing, which I thought served us well. In some of those, Luke didn't play. So we went with Shay and Sean Creeder, and those guys got a lot of runs at the faceoff X. So obviously for those guys, there were some situations that they hadn't been part of. So your biggest thing is you're continuing to kind of review some of the things that happen, knowing that some of those situations could play out again, just to make sure, all right, hey guys, if this happens again, just remember this is what we want to do. This is how we want to do it. And just constantly trying to coach and teach and educate. And sometimes just, kind of make sure that reaffirm the guys like, hey, listen, we're doing better. Just stick with it. Don't stray. Just keep grinding, keep working. And sometimes games are like that. Like, you have to win some of those games if you're going to have a successful season. They're just not easy. And you can't get away from what you practiced all week just because you want to get it back and get it back quickly.
And Coach Phipps, Coach Tillman talked about it a little bit there, some of the kind of adjustments that you guys are making throughout the course of going into the game and then throughout the game as well. What were some of the ones that you think really kind of made the difference, and what kind of maybe sparked some of those kind of changes?
Well, it's difficult just because Brown was the first team, that we played that did play a lot of zone, and they do a really good job defensively of trying to keep you off balance, whether it's one possession, it's man sliding quickly, next possession, maybe they don't slide and ball goes out of bounds. You see a zone and a different zone, and they just try and keep you kind of off kilter a little bit as the game goes on, which is difficult to get into a groove of making adjustments and seeing what they're doing, consistently throughout the game. They adjust and they change it up very well. So a lot of it falls on your guys, just having some leadership and being able to play through it and making decisions, and you try and prepare them the best that you can for whatever they may throw at you. But at the end of the day, those are the guys that are out there, and they did just an unbelievable job, I feel like, of just playing through it and communicating and taking what the defense gives them. And I was proud of them for how they did that.
And Coach Tillman, coming back to you, it took until the fourth quarter to get that lead that had been, so close throughout the course of the game. What do you think were some of the challenges that led to that point, that maybe kind of you were so close to maybe getting that game or taking the lead in that game, but it did come until the fourth quarter? How did you see that kind of transpire throughout the first three quarters into the fourth?
Yeah, if you look at our first three possessions, on offense, we just had quick turnovers. So you go 0 for 3 there, and then Brown comes down and they score, I think, on their first two. So, right off the get-go, you're kind of fighting uphill. And again, I think little bit of an adjustment, especially at the faceoffs, with a couple young guys in there. Coach Obransky, who works with our faceoff guys, does a great job. And we had two young guys trying to kind of work their way through it. Sean Creeder, who I think is going to have a great career here. First action for him. He was a little dinged up in the preseason, so didn't really get a lot of the scrimmage actions and some of those live reps that you would like to get for freshmen. So it was trial by fire for him. And there were times we actually did a good job, and maybe he won the ball, but we just didn't pick it up, where we maybe didn't get as strong a wing play as we'd like. Again, missing Jack McDonald last week, who's a captain for us, as well as Luke. Like, those are two key guys in the middle of the field for us. So guys like AJ Larkin kind of came in and stepped up and gave us some great minutes. And I felt like as the game went on, obviously Coach Obransky and Shay are talking a lot. Shay got better as the game went on, which was great. And again, 60%, I think you take that most days at the faceoff X. But I thought for the most important faceoffs are the ones late, and those are the ones we got, late in the fourth quarter and in overtime. Jack Corris, a couple key ground balls, and Shay doing a good job there. So again, when you needed it most, we got it. But obviously in the first three periods, just a lot of things that we can learn from, things that we got to be better at, things like Virginia will definitely exploit if we don't correct those things.
And we'll talk about Virginia in a minute, because that is kind of the big thing that's next ahead. But Coach Phipps, for you, Coach Tillman was talking about there a little bit. There are some new faces that are kind of getting worked into this team, either over the course of a couple of games or just this season. From your perspective on the offense, how have you seen some of those, new faces coming in and starting to gel?
Yeah, well, for me, just coming in January, which is a little unique, they're all been new faces for me. So I've just been trying to get to know all these guys, first and foremost on a personal level, and aside from their lacrosse ability, they're great dudes, and I enjoy being around them. And I've gotten to start to get to know them, and that part's been a lot of fun. And then on the field, there have been, certain guys have stepped up, I think, week to week. And, going back to that consistency aspect that, I kind of talked about earlier, just trying to get, some individuals to be a little bit more consistent and, just kind of even keeled as it goes on. And, some guys have played well and other guys have chipped in when we need it. But as far as the new faces, to me, everyone has been new. So I've only known these guys for 2 months and I've tried to close that gap and get to know them the best I can. And I feel like I have, and it's definitely a fun group to be around. And the guys really like each other, depending on who's out there. I don't think the guys, it's not a point of contention with them. Like they're all boys and they get along very well, which makes it easier to try to figure out things.
And Coach Tillman, I mean, he was just saying it's a little unusual to have somebody come in when Coach Phipps did and kind of, shortly before the season starts. For you guys as a staff, what's that kind of like to now have a new voice right before you jump into the season?
Yeah, going in mid-year, it doesn't happen a lot. It's happened to us, I think, 2 out of the last 4 years per se. But that means that there are opportunities that your assistant coaches are finding, and part of what we do here is get our young men ready for the rest of their life and get them prepared for their careers. And we do the same for our staff. Obviously assistant coaches want to become head coaches. So, you want to try to get them prepared, and there are only so many opportunities in the sport of lacrosse. So if there are good opportunities that really for that particular coach and their family, the timing is never ideal, because if it happens during the summer, it's during recruiting. If it happens in the fall, that's tricky because you are practicing. And so, if it's during the break or towards the end of break, obviously is not a lot of time to get ready, but you are on break. And luckily, Michael lives in Annapolis and so do I. So we were able to kind of get together and talk about some things and watch some film and, just talk about ideas. And I think that's part of what made the transition a little bit easier is philosophically, kind of the way he sees things is very similar to what we see, but when you're at other places, you do pick up different ideas. I think those things are very healthy. Bring in new calls, new ideas, new plays, new sets, different ways of looking at things. And those are things that you can share with the coaches and the players. The biggest thing is trying to get everybody on the same page as quickly as possible. So I wouldn't say that we had it figured out day one, but I think as the weeks have gone on, it's gotten better. And I think that only helps going down the stretch here.
And Coach Phipps, you're saying you're a new face and stuff like that, maybe in the coaching role, yes, but you're coming back to a place that means an awful lot to you. What's that kind of like? You've obviously made a lot of coaching stops along the way, but to be able to come back to College Park and be part of this program again.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer, like just wanting to come back here and place that means so much to me. But not only me, it means a lot to our whole family, my grandfather, my dad, my brother, my wife, my sister-in-law, like everybody went here and everybody played here. So just because of that, like the College Park has played such a huge part in my life, and it's had a big influence on who I am. And what it means to me is that it's been just unbelievable, and it was pretty exciting and just certainly happy to be here.
And Coach Tillman, you talked about you've lost some coaches over the years, but you often bring back players that know the program now in a coaching role. What does it kind of mean to have somebody coming into that position that knows the history, that knows the program, and can kind of continue that into coaching?
Yeah, I think that familiarity is helpful on a lot of levels. When you're recruiting players and you're talking about, to them about that, hey, this is what, your experience will be like, and these are the opportunities that are here, which I think there are so many. I think it's different when you've lived it. I think there's a special, if you graduate from this place, there's a love for this place and the people that is unique. And so, when whether it's Jesse or Jared or Michael are talking to recruits, they're speaking from experience from their hearts. And it's like, hey, this is, this was my experience. This is what you're going to, experience here. These are the people you're going to meet. These people are going to be in your weddings. They're going to be your best friends. These are lifelong bonds that you're going to have. And then with the alumni network, they can speak specifically to, hey, there's so many guys out there that want to help you, not only during your time here, but also after graduation. And that Terp family is special. I've seen it firsthand. I'm still living it. And I think it rings true when you're talking about, coming to Maryland and being a Terp, like knowing that you did that yourself, you can, it's really authentic and it's real. And I think that resonates with the recruits and families.
And so, I mean, that kind of ties into the past catching up with the present and everything. And this weekend is another good example of that with Virginia. And it's the number 3 ranked team in the land. And Coach Phipps, for you, kind of when you start to look at this game, that means so much, and there's a lot of history behind it. What are some of the things you kind of remember about this Maryland-Virginia, showdown that you can maybe kind of keep in the back of your mind?
Yeah, well, the one thing I remember is when I was here, it didn't go so well for me back in 2000, in the mid 2000s. But that's a long time ago. But I just know that just being part of this program, and just even when I wasn't here, just coaching elsewhere, there were certain games that you tune in for that, when you look at the schedule, that, obviously every game is important, but there are some that, have been going back and historically have been just really, really big and important and just fun to be a part of. And Virginia definitely being one of them. And, that's just, it's one of the great things about coming back here to be part of the Maryland program is there are those rivalries and those big games that are here. And, our guys are fortunate to be able to come to a place to play in a game like that. And I'm just very excited about it, and hopefully can go a little bit better than when I was here as a player, but I wasn't very good. So hopefully, who knows?
Well, I didn't mean to bring up any bad memories from the old days or anything like that, but now a chance to maybe avenge some of that now in the coaching role. And it's not done just yet. Coach Tillman, for you, similar, this is a matchup that is going to have a lot of eyes on it. How do you begin to kind of just break down this massive game this weekend?
The good news here is that we just don't play many teams that aren't good. So every game's important. It seems like every team we played is a challenge. I think that's part of the schedule we try to build. I think that helps you get ready. Your guys are going to be more locked in every single day, knowing that each week they're staring down a good opponent on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So I think for our guys, having to prepare to go up to Syracuse and out to Notre Dame, you're playing another really, really good ACC school. So I think, those two trips, I think, will benefit us. Certainly Virginia has stylistically and with their personnel and coaches, tons of challenges. They're a terrific program. They've been, very consistently successful. They're very athletic. They basically for 60 minutes, put you kind of under pressure at times. And you just got to withstand some of that pressure, that athleticism. They're attacking you in transition. They're trying to pressure you when you're clearing the ball. They're tough on ground balls. So, you got to play well for 60 minutes. And if you have lapses, they make you pay. So I think just putting on the film, our guys have seen they're a great group. They're a group that we're going to have to play our best game of the year. But also, I think those challenges bring out the best of you. And we definitely have a lot of focus this week. There's been a lot of guys kind of stepping up with their energy, their leadership, and their preparation.
And Coach Phipps, for you, I'm not asking you to give away any secrets. I would never do anything like that. But in practice this week, what are some of the conversations you're having with the guys of things that you're going to focus on going into this game?
Just develop consistency day in and day out. I think that's important. Possession to possession, dealing with, obviously, as Coach said, like their athleticism, on the ball and passing lanes, like they're just very good and disruptive, and just being able to handle that and settle in. And, the thing about playing Virginia and as this game is, it's not something that you have to really go overboard with getting your guys' attention, just because they're excited and they know the opponent and how big of a game it is. So for us, for me at least, it's just trying to treat it like almost any other game and prepare like you would, no matter who you're playing. You don't need to overemphasize just how good the opponent is, just trying to just focus on ourselves and get better just day in and day out.
And Coach Tillman, we'll finish up with you here. We'll kind of end with how we started. you just got your third overtime victory of the season. That is a gritty result, and you talked about it. Sometimes those are games you just need to get that win, even if it isn't pretty. How do you think that those tough games have prepared you for a matchup like we have this weekend?
Yeah, I think, if you can be in those tight games and find a way to win, there's a little bit of confidence, I think, you gain from that, but also, managing those situations, whether it's, all right, it's late, we're trying to either preserve the lead or we're trying to come back. You can reflect back on those experiences and draw some strength from maybe what you did, maybe what went well, what didn't go well. But also realize, if we need to come back, we've done that before, certainly in a couple games being down, but also if you have the lead, being smart when you do, kind of figuring out, on this possession, when are we going to attack? Where could they pressure? When could they pressure? Anticipate that, have poise in the moment. So hopefully that serves us well. Like I said, it should be a beautiful day. It should be a great crowd. First time they've been in College Park in 10 years. So it should be pretty awesome for, the kids and the program and everybody here. So a great day of lacrosse for sure.
A massive occasion. Get all the families there. Text everybody you know. Get them out to College Park this weekend. Coach Tillman, Coach Phipps, thank you so much for the time. As always, pleasure and best of luck this weekend.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
So again, coming up this weekend, Maryland men's lacrosse takes on number 3 Virginia at CQ Stadium on Saturday at 3 p.m. And before we move on to the Maryland women's lacrosse team, it's lacrosse season, and the Green Turtles are your local spot to enjoy all the games with Draft Pass. For just $20, enjoy nickel domestic pints all game long and a select appetizer. With your Turtle Touchdown Pass, choose from domestic drafts and Turtles' very own Reinders Keeper. Check out the Turtles' new locations in Canton and Towson just in time for lacrosse season. And no matter which Turtle you call home, the game day energy is second to none. Head over to the Green Turtle to sip pints, watch the game, and eat like a champ. Valid at participating locations only. Check your local Turtle for details. And now we shift gears to the Maryland women's lacrosse team. And we are delighted to be joined today by Maryland head coach Cathy Reese and Shay Ahearn, our player guest today. And Sunday was fun. That was a lot of fun. And Coach, we'll start with you. Obviously, a massive win over number 2 James Madison. How do you even begin to break down a game like that?
Yeah, well, and having just for you talking to the men, it was a great weekend in College Park. You're right. The men, gutted out that big win on Saturday. And then, for us, and Shay included here, my group of fifth years hasn't won, hasn't beaten James Madison in their career. So this was a huge victory for us, having lost to them 2 times last year by a goal. And they're the team we lost to in the NCAA tournament. And so, going up against them, one of the top ranked teams in the country, their offense is really just dynamic and tough and strong. And we knew that going in, that we needed to play, a really, really well together, good style of team defense to be able to just kind of contain them and then come up big on the offensive end against a zone that's tough to score on. And we did that. We did it on both ends of the field and were able to come away with a victory in College Park, which made it a really special Sunday for us.
And Shay, first of all, congrats on the promotion, because I don't know who you kicked out to get that office, but it seems like a great setup you got there. But for you, I mean, Coach talked about a little bit. You wanted to get that win, a team that Maryland hasn't had success over in the last couple of years. What was it like for you, kind of in the midst of all that action?
Yeah, I mean, Cathy said it best. It's a team that has always kind of been on the forefront of our minds, I feel like, going into season, because we haven't been able to beat them. And we've gotten to play them a few times over the past years. So it was definitely a team and a game that I think we were looking forward to. But during it, I feel like we just treated it as any other game. We were trying to lock in, play the best version of Maryland lacrosse we could. And we knew if we did that we were going to probably come out with the results that we wanted.
And Coach, it was a bit of a slow start to that game. Maybe it was the time change. Maybe it was something else. I don't really know. But when you kind of look at your team, there were some big moments that kind of helped shift the momentum. It felt like we would come out of a timeout and all of a sudden there's a little bit more pep in the step. There's a little bit more go. What were the conversations like in some of those huddles that maybe kind of led to getting that thing back on track?
Yeah, I wish it was easy enough to blame on the time change. I think it was more us just kind of settling in. Look at our season so far. We had a great overtime win up at Syracuse, one of the top programs in the country there. Then we lost an overtime game versus Florida here at home. And we, kind of played Syracuse with nothing to lose. And we played Florida a little bit when the going got tough, back on our heels, where we were trying to hang on. And I think having learned from both of those experiences, we came out Sunday and we're really playing to win, playing to attack all over the place. And I think, defensively, when they did score, we didn't give up another goal in a row. We were answering on the offensive end. Shay, who I'm thankful is here today too, in her new office. That is nice, Shay. It, crushed the draw control for us, and her talent and skill in the middle of the field is just, it's awesome, and draws equal possessions for us. And having the ball is an opportunity for us to, find opportunities and put it away. And we had a lot of people step up for us. Libby May shot really well. And we talk about shooting a lot, and we're not where we want to be as a team as far as shooting goes, but knowing that this is an area and something we need to work on. It's nice to see, people doing well in those areas. So that was really great for Libby to come up. And defensively, Emily Sterling was phenomenal. I think she finished the day with 14 saves or something, and 14 saves against a team whose offense is shooting one of the best teams in the country as far as their shot selection and percentage goes, was crucial to our success. So being able to make stops on D and then finding answers on offense and winning the draw possession was crucial for everything to go as planned on Sunday.
Maybe there's something about being a guest on this show that leads to a great performance at the weekend. So Shay, we'll see if that kind of translates to this weekend as well. But Shay, I wanted to come to you because Coach actually put it really well. That draw circle was a massive point of conversation over the weekend. And it felt like as that gap in draw controls opened up in your favor, that's kind of when the game turned in your favor as well. What were you kind of seeing from that area on Sunday?
Yeah, I think that the cool thing about the draw is that it's totally like dependent on the team that you're playing. It's never going to be the same thing every single time. And I'm really fortunate to have, like, it's not only me in there, but I have 2 to 3 other players with me that are, we just worked really well together. So like for JMU, it happened to be like Shannon that was on there, and Meg Ball, who was on there with me too. And like when you look at the draw controls, they weren't like necessarily clean the majority of the time. It was a battle, and we knew it was going to be a battle in the center circle. We knew that JMU was going to kind of approach it with that same mindset of just like try to make every ball a 50-50 ball and like may the best man win. And I thought that we did a really good job of working as like a unit in order to come up with possession. And even if it wasn't like a clean one touch, we were like supporting one another. If someone missed a ground ball, we were still there to kind of like get that second opportunity. And I think that we just worked really well as a unit, which was good to see, because sometimes those feel even better than just like clean wins on your own.
And Shay, I want to stick with you real quick because we talked about Emily Sterling, and she's having a phenomenal year, phenomenal career. But for you out on the field, what's it like knowing that you have somebody like her behind you that obviously you're giving everything you can on defense, but you have a pretty good chance if something gets by you that Emily might come up with a big save? Just what's that? I don't know why I did the thumbs up thing, but I think that's a pretty good indication of how that performance went for Emily Sterling on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, she's incredible. I think what we say as a defense is like, if we can do our job as a defense, we know that Emily's going to make the save. So that's, I think, what you're seeing a lot of. And to be honest, she makes a few saves that she shouldn't have to make. But I think that it's just like that team effort. Like Emily has our backs and we have hers. When we make mistakes, she's going to come up for us clutch. And if she's not having a great day, we're going to be there to be able to make it so that she doesn't have to save as many balls as she maybe does have to a game prior to. So again, it's just like that selflessness and working for each other. But yes, I'm definitely lucky, and we know how lucky we are to have someone like that backing us up. She makes our jobs a little bit easier for sure.
And Coach, I know she makes your job easier too, more of just relief than anything probably sometimes, but that was your third top 10 win of the season so far. And that obviously has to feel good, but how have you kind of seen some of the experienced players like Emily, like Shay, help you get those victories that, their leadership can kind of help propel those games sometimes?
Yeah, sure. Well, these guys, we have a really strong class of fifth years and seniors as well. And their experiences have really set them up to kind of run this year with what they've got. And these guys have learned a lot over the past years. I mean, look at our losses last year to a couple of these teams already that we beat this year. We lost to Syracuse 20-11 last year. We won in overtime this year. We lost to Denver by 1. We lost to James Madison by 1, and we had wins over them. And so I'm really proud of this group's leadership and proud of just their determination. They've learned a lot and just kind of grown from all their experiences. But, when you've got people like Shay in the midfield, Emily, on the defensive side, Eloise Clevenger on the attacking side. We've got 3 captains there who are 3 great leaders who are just really ready to kind of take this season for what it is and run with it and just do the best we can to kind of push our team forward.
And Shay, that group of 5th years, as Cathy was saying, it's really impressive, you guys. Like, you're very good as just kind of a group on the field, and it seems like pretty close group off the field as well. What's it like to kind of now have that experience, years of playing together, that you're able to kind of translate to maybe on the field performance?
Yeah, I mean, I think with experience comes a little bit more of like confidence and just like you've been in a situation before. But I will say that like the really cool thing about the University of Maryland, our coaching staff, is that like I'm still learning as a 5th year. So like even though I've been here for 5 years, like we're still adapting and adjusting and growing as an offense and growing as a defense and learning new concepts. And I think that it's nice to be able to have like that base knowledge to build upon, but I'm still learning just as much as maybe a freshman is in the same situation. So I think that being a 5th year comes with a little bit more confidence. Like I said, having like a class that's been so close for 5 years is also really nice because you're just playing with your best friends at this point. But I do think that there still is a lot of growth that can happen within your 5th year. It's not just like, I don't have to learn anything else and I'm done and I'm as good as I can get. Like there's still so much growth. And I think even in this season, you've seen it thus far. And it's just going to, hopefully we continue to just be on that like upward trajectory from here.
That is a fantastic leader response. Even though that you're kind of the elder statesman of the group, that you're still learning all the time. And I respect that immensely. And Cathy, I'm sure you agree. How have you seen Shay progress and develop from the time she got to College Park to where she is kind of leading the charge now?
Well, these guys they had anything but a normal freshman and sophomore year of college, right? Like they start off in 2020. We had just won the national championship in 19. So a lot of them, Shay included, were playing a lot as freshmen. And then the season ended, and everyone was sent home not with COVID, but sent home because of COVID, not knowing what the future brought and what was ahead. And then we came back the next year, and due to Big Ten rules, we had a really limited schedule. And so a lot of their growth has just been different, than what kind of the normal path for players may be. And I think they've handled it well. They've handled the toughness of the situations and the circumstances, which were out of our control. I think they've embraced the challenges of the schedule. I think they all are winners. They've got they're super tough, mentally tough, and they want to win. They want to be the best they can be. They recognize that we are a part of a team and the success of our team is based on all of us and everyone's role is important. It's not just going to be one person. And I think that they can really bring out the best in each other. So where Shay is part of a class that's been really competitive, they've also a class that has been really just seasoned and experienced. And they've gone through so many ups and downs. They've been to a Final Four. They've won a Big Ten championship. They've lost a season due to COVID. They've played only Big Ten teams and they've had overtime wins and losses. And, so we've had a little of everything, which is kind of gets us excited as we head into Big Ten play. We open Big Ten play on Saturday when we head to Ohio State, and we're ready for the second half of our season. I kind of can't believe it's already halfway through our regular season. This is the midway point, but ready for the next challenge that lies ahead of us. And I know that these guys are going to do whatever it takes for the good of the team, and they're willing to sacrifice themselves for what the team needs, and sometimes it's one thing and other games it's another, but I think this team's willing to do whatever it takes for the group to be successful, which is really special and unique.
And Shay, Coach touched on it a little bit there, but yeah, your Maryland career has been unconventional, unprecedented is the word that got tossed around a lot. And not to dwell too much on the negative times that maybe kind of started that off, but how has that been for you, that kind of bizarre start to college that nobody really knew what was going on, to now we're back to the normalcy, but that path was a little maybe bumpy along the way?
Yeah, I feel like we get this question a lot, just being like that first COVID year, freshman year. For me, I always say like that freshman COVID year, yes, was it ideal? Probably not. But like at the same time, it gave me like a glimpse into what college lacrosse was. Normally your freshman year is like a punch in the face. Like it's completely different than high school. It's a whole new like speed of play. And I got to have like a taste for that, go home because of COVID, train as hard as I could, and come back to have 4 great years of lacrosse. And like, I kind of see that as like, I was almost fortunate to have that experience. it was like a little glimpse into what the next 4 years of my life was going to be. My sophomore year, I would say, again, it wasn't a normal year, right? We only played Big Ten. It was a little bit different. We were still really young. We didn't have as many experienced players on the team, but like, again, that was a really big growing experience that I think has put us in a really good spot now, because we had to figure it out. Like, we didn't have very many players left to be able to be like, okay, this is how things are done. Like, let me show you the ropes, right? They were gone, and we lost them because of COVID, and we had to figure it out. And we had to like rely on Cathy, Caitlin, Kenneth, Alex coming in, Nadine coming in, kind of like showing us the way. And I think that we've been able to like create our own culture almost. And something that was representative as to like what Maryland Lacrosse stands for and has always stand for, but almost like put our own like twist on things, which has been really nice to be able to like adapt and grow, like I said, with one another and as a class. And then also as new classes come in, they kind of can put their own spin on things as well. And right now we just have a team that like absolutely adores each other. We get along so well. We're literally, they're my best friends. And so I think that was the good that came out of it. And I think that it allowed us to kind of like grow and mature as a group instead of almost being passed down the reins. We kind of got to recreate them for ourselves, which was nice.
Yeah, it's very easy to let a situation like that become negative and get you down, but to be able to bond from that can make things even stronger. And Shay, I want to stick with you real quick because you said your freshman year can be like a punch in the face, which I think is a great way of putting it, not really mincing words at all. But now being one of those more experienced players, we talked to Emily a little bit about this last week. How have you kind of seen your role as one of those leaders of the team in helping those new faces come in, either freshmen or some of the transfers coming into the squad as well?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is Maryland just making everyone feel super included. Like, we don't really base things off of if you're a freshman, a sophomore, junior, or senior. Everyone's kind of seen as equals, and I like that about our team. But obviously, when you come in, you're going to be a little bit more like, I don't know if I would say self-conscious, but just a little bit more nervous and timid as like someone coming in that hasn't been on the team for years prior to. So it's really like noticing who those players are and showing them like how they fit in and how like we appreciate them. We got really lucky, honestly, that our freshman class this year is amazing. They're like fireballs. And I think they're actually who brings the energy a lot of the times to practices and games. And so them being outgoing definitely makes like that leadership role a little bit easier. But then also having transfers in like Sophie and Meg come in, they just kind of think our coaches do a really good job of like recruiting girls that are going to get along and girls that are all there for like the same common goal. So really, when we have new people come in, it's just more of like an excitement factor than anything else.
Yes, the freshman class does come with luck, but there's also a lot of recruiting that goes on behind the scenes as well to make sure that those kinds of things pan out. And Coach, for you, when you're recruiting Shay, this is one of those instances where there's maybe a bit of an interesting pathway handoff, if you want to look at it like that. You want to tell us maybe what that is or for Shay and how she maybe came on your radar, I suppose?
Well, I've known Shay forever, to be honest with you. And I was high school teammates with her mother. So we have a lot of history within our families, and I was able to be at her wedding, and not Shay's wedding, her mom's wedding. But I've watched Shay grow up. And then in high school, she played for my husband at Glenelg Country School, and just being able to watch her grow and develop as a player. You know, I knew her personality was one that she was a great leader, but just her determination and dedication to be the best that she can be. And I think also accepting, her role and however she can help the team has been something that's been really just cool to watch and watch her grow over the years. Watch her kind of master her craft. Doing the draw is something that's very unique, obviously unique to women's lacrosse. And she's the best at it out there. She's so good at what she does. And so I'm, obviously super happy that she chose Maryland all those years ago, but just can't imagine her playing anywhere else. She's got the personality to, of a Terp, and being a Maryland kid growing up in a Maryland family, and just able to be out there and represent the athletic department, the women's lacrosse program, the way she does is special. And, looking forward under her leadership to kind of see where we go this season. We said a lot of great leaders on this team, a lot of great seniors and fifth years. I think there's 11 of them, to be exact. And that's about a third of our team. And so these guys are really stepping up. They've got a mission, they've got a goal. And as we head into Big Ten play, they're ready to kind of set the standard and see what we're capable of.
And Shay, for you, there's all those fun kind of connections and things that lead to now you being here And I mean, last week we talked about like the sisters that have come through the teams and stuff like that, and the culture. And, you know, being from Maryland, you're always going to have the fun connections of either playing with or against maybe some of your teammates, or playing for your future college coach's husband in high school kind of thing. What's that like for you coming into a program where, like, yeah, there's maybe already a little bit of familiarity there that can make things a little more comfortable sometimes?
Yeah, I think that, well, to start, like, for me, growing up in Maryland and like growing up watching like Cathy coach and like the players that have gone through the program, like I used to be babysat by like half the team, I feel like. And so like I just have always wanted, I used to get the poster signed. The other day we were signing posters. Like it's just like that growth and like that tradition of Maryland lacrosse. I think that that's something that I just wanted to be a part of since I was probably like little, like 4 years old. I remember telling Cathy when I was little, like, I'm going to be a Terp, watch out. And then I had to be like, wait, I have to stop saying this, because like now it could actually happen. And this might look like it's almost like I don't know, like a violation of some sort. But like that's been big for me. And like having Coach Reese, I call Cathy, I call Brian Coach Reese, but having him as my high school coach, like it was amazing for me, because the way that he coaches, like the offense and sets he runs, is very similar to Maryland lacrosse. And so having that almost like as like a precursor to coming into Maryland, it just made the transition a lot easier. So that's something that I will say like helped me a lot. He's a great coach and he set me up for success coming to Maryland, I will say. And that's something I was really like thankful for and appreciated. But once you get here, it doesn't matter if you have had those offensive sets or not. Like you're coming into a program that's going to be one of the most competitive, if not the most competitive in the nation. And you're coming in with girls that want the same exact results as you do. And you're competing every single day. So it's never going to be easy. But if you can, I always say, like, if you can handle practice and you can practice against the best players in the nation, you're going to do all right come game day. And that's what I get to do every single day. So nothing's going to prepare you for it necessarily. But once you get here, it's going to be a good time.
And Coach, for you, because or Cathy, because Coach, you know, as Shay just established how we differentiate that, but for you, that's not always the case for college head coaches, where the dinner table might also have conversations about how do you guys balance that so that it's obviously productive and advantageous, but at the same time not dominating every car ride, every vacation, all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's a lot. I'll tell you that it's a lot. We talk a lot of lacrosse in our family. You know, my son actually is on the men's team here. Mm-hmm. So he plays for Coach Tillman, and my other son is going to go to UMBC, and my daughter plays for my husband now, and then my 12-year-old still plays. So like we've got a lot of lacrosse in our family. So there's a lot of lacrosse that's talked about at all different times. But you know, Brian he's got a great mind for the game. And I think bringing his experience from the men's game and his playing days and his coaching days from, you know, the MLL and his experience playing there in the NLL has just kind of added another dimension. It's the same thing, you know, with my staff, with Caitlin Phipps, you know, married to Brian Phipps, and they have a lot of lacrosse kind of conversations. And Alex Oss is married to Marcus Holman, and they have these conversations as well. And so, you know, us to be able to learn from the men's game and the men's experiences on things that we can do differently and better, I think just makes us better coaches and better players, and just brings some different ideas to the table. So it's a lot of fun. We got a lot of lacrosse in the family, but you know, super proud of all of these players that have come through. And like, if you listen to Shay talk, just so proud of her and proud of these guys, and just excited for everything that's ahead for them. Because again, halfway through the season, there's a lot of lacrosse left to be played. We have a really tough back half of the schedule as we head into conference play with, you know, teams doing really well in the Big Ten right now. And so it's lots of opportunities on the table for us to take advantage of, and we'll just focus on Saturday first and see what we can do.
And Coach, you touched on it there. I feel like when we host these kinds of things, I always feel like I'm intruding on like some kind of family reunion, because there's always some kind of like connection or something that ties everybody together in that way.
And you talk to Michael Phipps, right? And
that's exactly,
you know, Caitlin's husband's brother. And so it's very exciting. But listen, our Maryland families and our connection to just lacrosse and just believing in and being the best that we can be as far as athletes go and teams go, and just having so much pride in the university is just really special and unique to our team and our school and our university, in both the men's program and the women's program. And like my husband and Caitlin's husband both played here. So it's pretty cool to just have that passion for Maryland, and then see it coming through in players like Shay and these other, people that come through our program. Just their love for the school and the program is really cool to watch and be a part of.
Now, Shay, Coach touched on it a little bit there, and to kind of start to close this out a little bit, big game coming up this weekend when you guys go on the road to Ohio State. What are the conversations you guys are having about as you go into another road test now against a Big Ten team?
Yeah, I think it's just like same thing as every single game. Like we have little areas that we're focusing on winning, like winning the little things, not necessarily focusing on that outcome, but going into every single game with that same mindset of like giving 100% of yourself to every single play. And it's the same way we've approached this game. We have like a road game coming up. We get to fly, which is always a good time. No driving this time to Ohio State, which is super nice. But I'm honestly excited to open up Big Ten play. Like it's our season opener, right? We get to go out and we get to show the Big Ten kind of like how far we've come and this year, and kind of building off of last. And Ohio State's like a great competitor, and we're excited to be able to go out and just play Maryland lacrosse to the best of our ability for 60 minutes.
So Shay, window seat or aisle?
Aisle every time. Victoria Hench is always my window seat. She likes the window aisle. Yeah.
Fair enough. You got to find the interior yang kind of thing. You got to find somebody that makes it work. Coach, what about you? If you had to pick between window seat,
I sit with whoever wants me to hold their hand and squeeze their leg when there's turbulence, and talk to them probably the whole flight.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta be there. That's a role of a coach is not just lacrosse. It's getting you through the tough times. Absolutely. But Coach, for you, and as you start to look forward to this game, what are you kind of expecting from this matchup against Ohio State?
Well, I think the best part about the timing and the way our schedule plays out is having this whole week, coming off of a 2-game week last week and a big win. It's given us time to really just kind of improve on ourselves and what we need to do. So we haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about Ohio State, because there's a lot of stuff from our last game that we want to do better, in ways that we need to tighten up and worry about Maryland and what Maryland's doing. And so, like Shay said, it's us focusing on controlling what we can, which is how we play, not what Ohio State does. And so there's a lot of areas that we need to tighten up on and things we need to do. But we'll be prepared. We've seen a lot. We've been tested this season in a lot of different ways with a lot of different defenses. So we'll be ready for whatever's thrown at us, having had a few days to prepare, and then defensively tightening up on their offense as well, and just trying to limit their opportunities to put Emily in situations where she can make great saves. And so, it is what it is, but having this week to really kind of buckle down and focus on the things that Maryland needs to do to be a better team has been a great time in the season for us to kind of have this to focus on and work on.
I think that's a great place to leave it. Coach Shay, thank you so much. Best of luck this weekend, Saturday at Ohio State. That game should finish up just in time for the men's game to kick off here. So it's all part of the plan to make that Saturday nothing but Maryland lacrosse.
That's right. And all on Big Ten Network. So I think it'll be good to see both the games there.
There you go. Coach Shay, thank you so much. And again, best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
So that will do it for our second ever episode of the Maryland Lacrosse Show. And before we go, introducing Turtle Triple Play at the Green Turtle, an amazing $25 offer, including an appetizer and 2 entrees, a high value experience in a sports fan's paradise. Check your local Turtle for details. Again, coming up this weekend, the women's team goes on the road to Ohio State. That's at 1 p.m. on Saturday. For the men take on Virginia, a big-time matchup here in College Park. That will do it for our second show. We'll be back in a few weeks' time to catch up on more Maryland men's and women's lacrosse. But until then, enjoy all the action. So for our entire team that puts this show together, I'm Brendan Hartlove. We'll see you next time.